the people without the power, are the ones who die for Russia. And it will continue forever. Unless the free world finally brings an end to this vicious cycle, finally brings an end to the terrorist regime, finally puts down the killer in the Kremlin. That, my friends, is the better future we envision. That is the better future that every person on this earth should strive for. To save the Ukrainian children that were taken away by the Russian terrorist regime, to free the heroes of Ukraine that have been taken captive, that have been tortured in the most heinous ways imaginable. The most inhumane treatment you can ever imagine. Things that would make the executioners of the Middle Ages blush with envy. They have been done by Russia. They have more means, more knowledge to torture human beings, to dilapidate what it means to be human, to inflict pain in ways that could only be imagined in the past. They wrap electrical wires around the genitals of the captives, and they torture them as such. They flay them. They break their bones. They forcefully make their wounds faster and have them die of fever as they suffer. That is how Russia behaves always. The most recent captives released by Russia, or rather not released, exchanged for other captives, for Russian captives. There's evidence and pictures of Slava Rossii being written on them with knives. The wounds on the bodies of those poor captives, they show abuse, extreme abuse, inhumane abuse. The Russian terrorist regime has given up any semblance of humanity. They're animals now, beasts, looking for human beings to torture, looking for human beings to torment. They cannot be called any differently. The people who torture others like that, fellow human beings, they cannot be seen as human at that point. They have given up their humanity. They were born human, sure. They're genetically human beings, no problem. But they do not behave as such. It's pointless to expect them to behave as human beings, as reasonable human beings. My friends, Russia needs to be put down forever. Now, as soon as possible. That is the only way we have, the only way humanity has to move into a better future. Because if we do not, what is there to say? This fantasy of torturing people, of breaking people, and making them obey that way. Who is going to say that that's not going to happen in the rest of the world? Countries like North Korea have been doing that for ages. And in China, for example, the Falun Gong practitioners have been killed and sold for organs. We do not see human beings as equals, as fellow individuals who need to be respected, who have rights inherent to their being. No, they see them as meat, as walking, talking bags of organs that can be sold off into the black market and earn some extra cash. That is how our enemies see humanity. Do we want such a dystopian future for ourselves? For our enemies are not so foolish as to believe in isolationist scum, who will say, oh, the only thing that matters is what's within our borders. That's foolish talk, my friends. The people who say that are fools and traitors to the countries they claim to defend. No. What happens within the borders of one's country is not the only thing they should be caring for. But what happens abroad will reach them inevitably if they have no power in changing it. That is a fact that has not been learned by many. It's not being told by a lot of the leaders of this world, like Orban and Fico and many others when they're ill. They do not care for their actual countries. They allow the Chinese police to act freely within the borders of their countries. And we have people defending Russia the same way, shaking hands with Putin, saying Putin is their friend. Oh, I don't know what happened to Putin. He was such a nice guy, you know, but now he went crazy. We used to be good friends with him. Who says this? Who says such a thing? Who uses this kind of rhetoric, my friends? Somebody we cannot trust. That's true. But once again, my friends, the number one message we have here to send is a message of unity. A unity of Europe that has the same threat of Russia. A unity of the free world that has the same threats of autocracy and populism. A unity of all the human beings who want to see themselves as human and who see other people as humans as well. And not as beasts, not as cattle, not as meat. Who do not dilapidate human rights left, right, and center. That, my friends, is who we are, people who stand for human rights. And Russians are the people that we oppose. Slava Ukraini! Slava nacії! Україна! 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 Героям України тричі! Слава! 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 Ворогам України тричі! I'd like to thank every person for coming here today. And now, my friends, we are going to soon end this rally as we started with the Ukrainian anthem. Слава Україні! Слава нації! Україна! 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 Героям України тричі! Ворогам України тричі! Дякую.